Hey, 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 hey! We have gathered here together. This is a booktube channel. Thunk. These are the 10 classics that I really want to read in 2022. Hello! Hi everyone, it's Jess. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Jess. Welcome to my channel. If you're visiting my channel and you're a habitual visitor to my channel, welcome back. It's so nice to have you. It's so nice to have everybody. We're here today to talk about classics. Last year, I read quite a few classics. I revisited classics that I read when I was in high school or when I was a young person, which I'm not anymore. And it was just so much fun. And so I've dedicated myself to reading some more classics this year. And I have a pile of ClassicsTBR pile for 2022. Also in my goals, I did a reading goals video. And in that video, I talked about how I really want to read the Russians. Now I thought there were a lot more Russians, and I guess there are. But apparently there's really Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, Nabokov, and Chekhov. Yeah, but I'm not going to read Chekhov. I don't know. I was thinking about books rather than plays. But anyway, so I picked 3. And so I'll talk about those first, and then I'll talk about the other classics that I want to read this year. So the first 3 are to kind of meet this goal of wanting to familiarize myself a little more with the Russian masters. And so the first one in my list is Crime and Punishment. Fyodor Dostoevsky. Dun, 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 dun. Now, what is my motivation for reading this book? Well, listen, I don't know. I think 2 of the books that I read last year are inspired by, based on, related to some of the ideas that are presented by Dostoevsky, not particularly necessarily in Crime and Punishment, but for example, Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead deals with themes that Dostoevsky deals with, I believe, specifically in Crime and Punishment, and I guess I'll find out when I read the book. The Idiot by Elif Batuman also, I mean, it's a direct reference, let's face it. Now, I'm not going to read The Idiot. I'm going to start my Dostoevsky journey with Crime and Punishment. So this is the story about a man who, I think he kills an old woman. So he murders an old, helpless little old lady. Okay, maybe she's an evil old lady. I don't know. I just know she's an old lady, and I think that the majority of the novel, I guess, deals with the crime and then the possible punishment, the related crime. A very descriptive title. It's a bit of a brick, like 650 pages, but I'm really looking forward to reading this because, and I couldn't believe it. I spoke to my dad today and I said, I'm thinking about reading Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment. And I said, have you ever read it? He said, no. I was like, what? You've never read it? Wait a minute. You're like, are you my father? Fun fact, the first psychological thriller ever written. Is it about religion and class and poverty? I can't wait. Cannot wait. My second Russian I had not heard of until I was made aware of it by my daughter. It's called The Master and Margarita, and it's written by... The Master and Margarita is a novel by Russian writer Mikhail Bulgakov, written in the Soviet Union between 1928 and 1940 during Stalin's regime. Boom, 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 boom! That is all we need to know. Now, what is it about? Oh, Faust. Ooh! Devil arrives in Moscow. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, it's a cat. Oh, this is a book about a cat. Look, there's a cat on the cover. Is this a religious book? It's Russia. So I'm not going to understand this book because I'm not Russian. Anyway, a modern classic, I'm told. So I'm also told I won't understand it as well as I would if I was Russian, but that doesn't really surprise me. And then my third choice for the Russians is a novel by Vladimir Nabokov, except that it's not Lolita, y'all. It's not Lolita. I don't know. There's something about the story of Lolita that just doesn't appeal to me, so I'm going to stay away from it for now. But I picked up Despair, and this sounds really intriguing to me. This is about, well, it says that Nabokov extensively revised this work, so I guess he was originally not pleased with it. This is the story about Herman. Herman A man who undertakes the perfect crime, his own murder. Does that not sound intriguing to you? I mean, it's not suicide, it's his own murder. So yeah, I'm excited to read this book. Because I mean, he is a master. I don't know, I just don't want to read Lolita. I don't know why I have so much resistance to Lolita. One of every mother's worst nightmares. Yes, I don't think I want to read about that. So this is Alexandre Dumas' The Black Tulip, which is based on a true crime. Historical true crime. The brutal murder of John DeWitt and his brother Cornelius. It says the novel is also a timeless political allegory in which Dumas, drawing on the violence and crimes of history, makes his case against tyranny. All his energies into creating a symbol of justice and tolerance, the fateful Black Tulip. It seems very interesting. I have read The Count of Monte Cristo, okay everyone? I have read The Count of Monte Cristo. I think I read an abridged version, mind you. Not the full version, and it was one of the most captivating books I've ever read. I do think I should read the big one, but it's not going to be this year. So instead, I'm going to explore this little shorter novel by Alexandre Dumas, The Black Tulip. Now, I can remember watching this on PBS with my mom when I was pretty young, and now I would be curious to read this just because I think it would be fairly nostalgic. It's Brideshead Revisited by Evelyn Waugh. I watched this series. It was in installments. What was the name of the program? I can't remember the name of the program, but it was in installments. It was a serial over a period of time, and I don't remember the story. I remember the costumes. I remember the extravagance of the elaborate sets, and it was very beautiful. But I think it could be a really maybe good place to start with. I've never read any of his work, so this would be a starting point for me. This is his most famous novel, and I understand it to be a satire of the rich and wealthy. So this is like The Great Gatsby. Sorry for any of you Great Gatsby lovers out there, because I'm gonna tell you. I'll let you know. Words I learned from Jane Eyre. That's so cute. Wow, there's 38. This is so cute. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, it's so cute. Okay, Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Borrowing this copy, as you can tell. Yeah, I've never read Jane Eyre. Wuthering Heights is one of my favorite books of all time, and I've been asked the question so many times, who's your favorite Bronte? What's your favorite Bronte book? And I really don't feel equipped to answer that question. I always say Wuthering Heights because it is my favorite book of all time, but I felt like, you know, I should probably read a few others. I should give the other sisters a chance. And Jane Eyre is just so reputable then that I knew I had to read it. It was initially published under the pseudonym Currer or Bell? Oh, Currer, Bell, Ellis Bell, or Anne. Nobody remembers anything about Anne. Ouch. She's an orphan. Jane Eyre is an orphan. And she gets married, doesn't she? I think that she gets married. I think that often books of this time were about such a topic. Well, we don't know. We're going to find out if she gets married or not. I haven't read Jane Eyre, so no spoilers. Jane Eyre, indestructible moral courage. Saves everybody in her path. Okay, so in the introduction to Wuthering Heights, it said that Jane Eyre and Wuthering Heights were published and distributed together. And then the critics said, you burned Wuthering Heights and you kept Jane Eyre. So, I mean, I take issue. I do. I take issue, but I haven't read Jane Eyre, so how can I take issue? So anyway, that's me blabbering on about a book I haven't read yet. Wait until I read it. I have lots to say. I do want to read it. I am looking forward to it, but I don't think that it's going to displace the spot in my heart where Wuthering Heights lives. I think that's highly unlikely. Then I also wanted to read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I'm not sure if I'll read this in the early part of the year or the latter part of the year. In my mind, it made sense to read it around Halloween, but my daughter's taking a class about the Romantics, and I know that she's going to be studying Shelley in that class, so it might be kind of fun if she gets assigned Frankenstein to buddy read it with her, but I'm not sure if she's going to get assigned Frankenstein or not. I've been meaning to read Frankenstein since I started to read classics in a more determined way, because it's supposed to be unique, hands down, one of the best classics ever written. So very much looking forward to reading Frankenstein. Can't wait to read that. And then I'm going to read The Plague by Albert Camus. How topical! This book was gifted to me last Christmas and I didn't get to it. But this is the story of a community like any other, suddenly impotent in the face of a destructive force to which it must not submit. Whoa, that's going to be really cathartic to read. The Plague can also be read as France suffered under the German occupation during the Second World War, or indeed the human race rebelling against an absurd universe. I mean, if these times don't call for such a topic to be reading about, then I don't know when is a good time to read this book. It seems legit. Looking forward to reading it as well. It'll be my first time reading Albert Camus. Camus. Tous les noms français, on doit les prononcer en français. Albert Camus. So the last two books that I picked, I grouped together, and I should have maybe talked about them like at the front when I talked about the Russian books, but I haven't read enough literature by Black writers. So I'm really trying to improve my literacy around Black experiences and historical Black experiences. And two of the authors that I haven't read, which is totally shameful. I should have read them by now in my life for sure. I can't believe I haven't read them. I can't believe they weren't ever assigned to me. Are James Baldwin and Toni Morrison. For Toni Morrison, I'm going to start out with Beloved because I do think I've been told that's the best place to start. I feel like I've read a Toni Morrison book before, but I can't guarantee it. So I'm just going to start as if I have never read any Toni Morrison before. And I'm going to start with Beloved. So this story is about Sete, who was born enslaved and escaped to Ohio. And 18 years later, she is still not free because she's gripped by the experiences of having been a slave. And in particular, there's the ghost of her baby who died nameless and whose tombstone is engraved with a single word, beloved. So I think this is going to be a bit gut-wrenching, but obviously really important to read. And I can't wait. And I can't wait to read other of Toni Morrison's books and other works of hers because I think she's pretty consistent from everything that I've heard. So I'm really looking forward to this. This is James Baldwin's Giovanni's Room. This book has been talked about a lot on BookTube lately or over the last couple of years. And I don't think I need to say too much about it, just that I haven't read it and I really should have read it by now. And I'm really looking forward to reading my first James Baldwin, and I'm looking forward to starting with this one because I know that it's set in Paris. We just finished watching Wes Anderson's film, The French Dispatch, and it was interesting because one of the characters was inspired by James Baldwin, and the character in the film goes away to France and is writing food culture. I've been staying away from all of the stuff on BookTube and everything about Giovanni's Room, which is why I don't know all that much about it, because I like to go into books not knowing too much. So, but I know that he lived in Paris and he wrote about America kind of from an outside perspective, but that was his reason for moving away and writing. These are the 10 classics that I want to read this year. Wish me good luck. Wish me good luck. Thank you so much if you're still here at the end of this video. God bless you. Thank you for spending this time with me, and thanks for listening. And if you're interested in reading any of these books, well, we have a whole year to do it. And if you've already read any of these books, maybe leave a mention in the comments below about whether you like them, which ones you loved, and why. I'll look forward to talking about them in future videos and look forward to sharing those experiences with you. So, bye for now. Oh, and I didn't even take a picture of a thumbnail for any of those. These are things that need to get done. I mean, I know it's Dostoevsky, but it's Fyodor. Why don't they ever have the original publication? I am a mother. Is that why? Makes me sound like a